set this up. I'm just going to adjust this so that you can see a full screen of slides. And once we do that, we'll begin. There we go. All right, welcome. Thanks for joining us to this sold out webinar today on the topic of providing youth marijuana use prevention messages that promote wellness lifestyles. As I said, it's a sold out session, so I am hopeful everybody's able to enter the webinar, although we are actually overbooked. So for that reason, I will be providing this webinar again in another week or two. So for you to be aware of that, I recommend you go to our website, preventionpluswellness.com, and just leave your, leave your email, and then you'll be notified. Or you could just check our website regularly, and under the news heading, the blog heading, we'll put an announcement that we'll be reissuing this webinar, rehosting this webinar again in another week or so. Well, anyway, thank you for joining us from throughout the country and abroad. I appreciate you being here. I know you're all busy. Happy New Year, and welcome to this 30-minute webinar. I am recording this webinar, so I will be sending everyone a link to this recorded session that you're welcome to review if you want, share with others, use it any way you'd like, and to let everyone know the good news about this particular approach to developing and using integrated substance use prevention, in this case, cannabis prevention messages, along with practically promoting protective wellness lifestyles among children, young adolescents, old adolescents, young adults, the full spectrum of youth development. So at the end of today's 30-minute session, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer any of them that you might have. I'll also be sending everyone who's registered today a certificate for half an hour of CEUs to just type in your name and download a copy of it for use any way you'd like. I'll also likely send you a PDF of the slides. So trying to make sure everybody has everything they need to understand what we're doing here today and to share this good information with other people. We have three webinar objectives. The first, you'll be able to, at the end of today's 30-minute session, be able to develop messages that integrate youth cannabis use prevention with fitness and health promotion. And the framework for this, developing these messages, and actually a broader strategy, is the behavior image model, and I'll go over that with you today. Second objective today is for you all to be able to compare evidence-based and evidence-informed programs for preventing marijuana use that also promote protective wellness behaviors among youth and young adults. And lastly, very briefly, I'll offer you some resources that you can explore beyond today for your own personal and professional use, and your organization's use for preventing youth cannabis use and promoting wellness lifestyles, all within a single intervention, which is what we're really focusing on. We're really working on trying to develop that kind of integrated multi-behavior approach, which can be have greater and broader effects on young people, as well as being more cost effective. Let's first take a look at the behavior image model, or BIM. This is the conceptual framework that I'm presenting today that you can use to develop your own integrated cannabis avoidance cannabis use prevention messages with the promotion of fitness and health behaviors among young people or adults. The behavior image model, or BIM, is a marketing-related theoretical roadmap, if you will, that you can use for creating a number of different types of programs. They can be brief, screening, feedback, goal setting, screening and brief interventions. There it is. It finally came out of my mouth. You could use the BIM to create your own screening and brief interventions, but you can also use it to create just messaging that you can use in media campaigns or other prevention strategies. And the cool thing and the unique thing about it is that the BIM allows you to connect or to integrate prevention and wellness or health and fitness promotion messages. So there's two components to this BIM framework or theoretical map. And that is, first of all, that there's a focus on using, triggering, or cueing positive images that young people already have in their mind, in their non-conscious, and very easy to trigger those with very vivid image terms, sometimes illustrations. And this is believed to increase motivation for change. So very easy, natural. Marketers have done it for decades. Good research, good theory supporting this idea that young people have these positive images of themselves in the future, called the desired future image or desired self. They also have images of their peers as well that are very positive, engaged in wellness behaviors. In other words, being more physically active, fit, successful, strong, etc. So there's that one component which I'll describe. And then second component to the behavior image model is the use of multiple behavior goal setting. This is the action piece. Number one, positive image, cueing those, that's the motivational piece. The second piece is the action piece, and that's where we're taking advantage, if you will, or acting upon or allowing young people to act upon, deciding if these positive images are values for themselves, and they have an opportunity here within this brief intervention or media campaign, if you will, to act on it by using multiple goal setting and contracting. This is the self-control piece, the action piece. You're developing, allowing young people to develop self-regulation skills, which are so important to their overall development and protection from substance use, particularly for high-risk youth, but all youth, actually. Why focus on positive images? Well, because they are effective and can be more effective than negative images. And that's supported by, number one, conceptual or theoretical models. There's a bunch of multiple behavioral health models that support this, including possible selves theory. Take a look at it, search, and you'll see a little bit more about positive selves theory. Very interesting, fascinating theory that focuses on, you can present both positive and negative images, but particularly focusing on those positive images and positive self. Secondly, the use of positive imagery is supported by a long line of research, and you could find this under the heading of self-concept, prototype images. You could search under possible selves and positive identity, and all of this research shows, or much of it at least shows, that these positive images are linked to, and images in general are linked to health habits and health risk habits of young people. And lastly, as I mentioned earlier, that for decades now, major companies across the world have been using marketing and as well as advertising, and they're not using negative images, they're using positive or appealing images because they help change and alter and modify purchasing behavior. So very effective in that particular behavior, but also in decision-making with regard to specific health habits. And of course, some purchasing behaviors like the one illustrated in the right have implications for overall health. As you can see, that this particular beer company is advertising social images of fun and social interaction and good-looking, appealing young men and women all around, whether we're having a blank yet, fun yet, whatever, you can fill in the blank. And we're just saying that positive image messages can be used not just to promote products, but also healthy lifestyles, as well as the avoid substance use, particularly cannabis use in this case of this webinar. So the question becomes, how do you develop these? How do you, you out there listening, who's taking time from your busy schedules, how can you develop these integrated prevention plus wellness messages? Well, I've made it simple by just saying that there's really just a two-step process. The first, and let me walk you through this, the first step is to present positive, desired future images and images of friends and peers and others like them, as well as other broader benefits of a particular health enhancing behavior. Now, the behaviors that we focused on here at Prevention Plus Wellness, LLC, located in beautiful Jacksonville, Florida. I had to put in a plug for Jacksonville. It's a beautiful sunny day today. Is that the reason for focusing on these positive benefits and behaviors is that we particularly emphasize physical activity because of its critical role to overall health and well-being, but also prevention of chronic disease, as well as other chronic disease risk prevention behaviors that are prevalent among young people. So lack of physical activity, in other words, or sedentary lifestyle, too much screen time, as an example, not playing sports, not getting out, doing chores, etc. And as well as unhealthy eating practices, everything from not eating regular healthy breakfast, not eating enough fruits and vegetables, not getting adequate sleep, not controlling daily stress. All of these things are very important. And so the focus for us, at least at Prevention Plus Wellness interventions, is to focus on those behaviors. You could target other positive behaviors as well. So the first step, a little verbose today, sorry about that, is to present the positive desired future images, peer images, as well as any other benefits of a particular targeted behavior, let's say aerobic exercise. Secondly, then you present how your substance use behavior or behaviors, this case could be cannabis use, is a barrier to engaging in, let's say that wellness behavior again is aerobic exercise, and achieving the positive images and benefits from it. In other words, it actually produces, the use of cannabis, for example, produces feared images. So that's the two-step process. Step one, what are the benefits, particularly positive images of a wellness behavior, specific wellness behavior, and what are the barriers to one or more risk behaviors, particularly substance use behaviors like cannabis? How does it a barrier or interfere with achieving that positive wellness behavior and images? What's the goal in this two-step imaging process? It's to trigger a mental image or mental picture of a healthy behavior and how a particular substance use, in this case, again, cannabis use, is harmful to that behavior and to the outcomes of that behavior. And we do this by using positive image terms, as I mentioned earlier, and I'll demonstrate that here in just a moment, as well as showing some illustrations like the one to the right. So we're trying to show illustrations so that young people can see themselves or representations of themselves in a positive light, healthy, happy, engage in wellness behaviors, that type of thing, versus the oftentimes negative images that are shown to young people, particularly on social media. So let me give you an example of how this two-step integrated communication or messaging process works. Again, step one, just to review, you come up with some positive images and other benefits of a health-enhancing behavior, and then you show an illustration, is always a good thing to do. And so here's an example of it in quotes. Young people who engage in regular physical activity, that's the target behavior, tend to feel energetic, sleep better, and look more active, fit, and confident. So I've underlined the image terms for you. You can see these are very positive, positive and powerful images. They automatically elicit unconsciously or non-consciously in the mind of whoever's receiving these messages, this image, energetic, active, fit, confident are the image terms, but then also other benefits like sleeping better. And then on the right, you can see we're showing a positive illustration of a young woman practicing some aerobic exercise, actually running, it looks like, outside. That's the first step. The second step is to then link how a substance use behaviors are barriers to that positive image and that positive behavior. And here's an example in quotes. Marijuana use reduces your energy level needed to participate in regular exercise and to achieve your fitness goals of being in shape, looking good, and feeling fit and active. So you can see we're specifically linking marijuana use as countering the benefits of and making it more difficult to engage in regular exercise. Regular exercise results in these positive images and benefits. However, marijuana use, and by the way, you could clarify that, it could be regular use, could be heavy use, could be initiating use, whatever is appropriate, and whatever you're, depending on your context and your target. So let me then just expand this and say now you can go ahead and create your own integrated messages. Here's just a very brief example of it. And so you could map out your own messages. So for example, in the left-hand column, you could just generate very quickly, you could brainstorm with yourself, others, images and other benefits of a wellness behavior. Let's just take physical activity, for example, PA. I just came up with, in just a moment, 5 of them, 5 positive outcomes, 5 image-related outcomes. You could come up with other non-image benefits as well. But the images that I came up with: high energy, fit, active, friendly, successful. Those are all image terms. And then in the right-hand column, you can counter those by showing how marijuana, in one way or another, is a barrier or harms that ability to engage in physical activity or to achieve or to experience the positive benefits in images. So for example, left-hand column, physical activity, and you could identify specific kinds. Could be aerobic, could be regular, could be exercise, could be strengthening exercise. You can get specific in these messaging if you want. Results in high energy, and then to the right, marijuana actually saps energy. So you can see how we can make the case very simply and I think vividly that marijuana can really interfere with those that want to live that high energy lifestyle. Same with being fit, number 2 under physical activity image. Being fit is a positive image. Number 2 under a marijuana barrier, it's likely to increase your junk food eating. You know, get the munchies from using marijuana, and then you're likely to gain weight and become unfit. To the left, being active is physical activity. Being regular physical activity leads to an image and feeling of being active. And to the right, marijuana, number 3, leads to less motivation. It makes it more difficult to exercise when you're high. It's more you're more likely to just sit around and watch the screen and television and movies, so forth. Number 4, physical activity results in being friendly. Also number 5, becoming successful. And yet to the right hand side, you can see how marijuana barriers are. It limits your friends to maybe just those that are using, and also slows cognitive processing and retards brain development, making it less likely for you to be successful in schoolwork and so forth. So that's just an overall example. You could switch it out to the left-hand column. You could, instead of identifying physical activity, you can target some of the other behaviors, as we have in our prevention plus wellness interventions, other behaviors such as breakfast or fruits and vegetables or nutrition in general, or getting 8 or more hours of sleep, or controlling stress. And then how a marijuana to the right, and you could change out marijuana with other kinds of substances as well, alcohol, which we've done in the past in our programs, vaping, e-cigarettes. We have a vaping prevention plus wellness program. So you could play with this model, very easy, but very, very powerful and cost effective. So what are the benefits of a healthy lifestyle? This sort of ties this all together, that a healthy lifestyle has a great number of benefits, and that's another reason to link prevention to healthy lifestyle promotion. The research has shown that healthy lifestyle, physically active, eating nutritiously, getting adequate sleep in particular, is associated with improved physical and mental health and quality of life, more positive self-image, self-esteem, self-regulation, self-confidence, life skills. Is a healthy lifestyle is associated with less depression and anxiety, in other words, mental health benefits, less unsafe sex, and for those of you in the addictions field, obviously less alcohol, tobacco, and drug use. And you can go down the list to see other benefits of a healthy lifestyle, including the last one, preventing chronic disease risks. The other component to the behavior image model is this, that it addresses self-control skills. So not just the first part, as I mentioned, is increasing or using positive images to increase motivation. The second part is capitalizing on that, or allowing opportunities for young people to build on that by providing them with an action component, and that is the self-regulation piece, developing self-regulation skills among young people by helping them set and then monitor behavior goals. And this includes avoiding, for example, marijuana, alcohol, other drug use, as well as improving one or more protective health habits, and then making sure that that's a public commitment or contract, which increases motivation. So we always recommend, if you're going to use contracting or goal setting, that you make it a contract to increase that motivation. So this is a separate piece. It's the action piece. If you just want to just use the behavior image model, that two-step process to create integrated messages for a media campaign, you can do this. But if you can build in the self-control, particularly this multiple behavior self-control, where we're setting goals not just to avoid marijuana use or substance use, but also to increase one or more protective behaviors, that is a very, very powerful action piece. And our goal plans and contracts based on the behavior image model, the ones that we've developed at least, have included recommendations to increase wellness behaviors, particularly physical activity, sports, nutrition, breakfast, fruits and vegetables, avoiding junk foods, increasing the amount of sleep, controlling stress. Those are the ones that our programs have focused. You can focus on other wellness or positive. We even have one program called In God's Image, where we focus also on spiritual behavior improvement. But then also to avoid, obviously, the marijuana or other substance use. We also, in our contracts and goal plans, have young people list a health habit to improve. They sign it and co-sign it, and the teacher, the parent, or whoever co-signs. We provide wellness tips sometimes in our contracts, and a concluding statement, which is very important to give instruction, to take this contract back, this goal plan, to monitor it daily, and then some motivational or motivational imaging, motivational interviewing kind of communication or coaching kind of communication to increase motivation to really go after this goal change, but to set those goals. And there's using SMART goals. I'm sure some of you are familiar with that. We provide training in that in all of our programs. Now we're going to shift gear. I'm just going to give you a heads up. We are going to run a little bit long. I took a little bit more time the beginning part of this, so we'll run a little bit longer than 30 minutes today. Don't fear. I will send you a link to this recorded session if you've got to go, if you have an emergency, can't make it for another 5 or 10 minutes. And we will offer this webinar again. So now we're shifting to this, to the fact that there are existing evidence-based proven cannabis prevention programs that are based on the behavior image model. One is called the Sports Prevention Plus Wellness Program. As I said, it's evidence-based. It's been proven to prevent alcohol, tobacco, and cannabis, and increase physical activity among non-using and substance-using youth. It targets, as I've mentioned before, physical activity, healthy nutrition, sleep, and to a lesser extent, stress control. It is a single session screening and brief intervention. And we have versions for high school, middle school, elementary school, and it's less than 50 minutes in length. It can be implemented with slides. That's the typical approach. And within your program manual, it has protocols or scripts to implement this to youth individually or in a group, making it very flexible. And because it's just a single session, although it does include parent materials, it can be very practical, and you could reach a broad range of youth who would not be able to receive prevention and wellness messages because they're in busy settings, whether that's schools or hospital settings or wherever the case may be. This program is being used in all 50 states, by the way, and other countries. It is based on the marketing theory, the behavior image model, and it comes with a reproducible digital download. Our parallel program for young adults is called In Shape Prevention Plus Wellness. Exactly the same thing as sport in that it's evidence-based, shown to prevent alcohol and cannabis use and heavy alcohol and cannabis use, as well as drinking, driving. Some effects for both sport and In Shape were found even a year after that single session. In Shape was also shown to improve sleep and health-related quality of life. And again, it targets physical activity, different types of physical activity, sleep, healthy nutrition, and a little bit more emphasis on stress control. This script has a little bit more content to it for the young adults. Again, still a single session, under 60 minutes in length, and based on the behavior image model. Then we have the Marijuana Prevention Plus Wellness Program. We developed this because we had organizations say, we would like to see and have cannabis-related messages. How does cannabis specifically interfere with these wellness behaviors, physical activity, nutrition, sleep? So that's why we developed the Marijuana Prevention Plus Wellness Program. It's based on the same, what SAMHSA calls evidence-based screening and brief intervention practice. It is based specifically on the evidence-based sport program. It has not been fully evaluated. That's why we oftentimes call it evidence-informed, but pretty much the same thing with sport. Like sport, it targets physical activity, healthy nutrition, sleep, stress control, screening, brief intervention, single session, implemented with slides, can be provided either individually to youth or in a group, based on a behavior image model, and it targets cannabis risk. And I'm going to show you some examples of that you may find useful. So here are the differences between the prevention plus wellness messages that address substance use and CDRs, chronic disease risk behaviors. If you look to the left-hand column, you'll see the Marijuana Prevention Plus Wellness / Sport Prevention Plus Wellness Program addresses physical activity and sports, environmental influence, particularly friends and family, healthy breakfast and nutrition, sleep 8 or more hours, and then depending on which program, cannabis, alcohol, drug use in general, and to a lesser extent, relaxation strategies. Whereas In Shape addresses moderate as well as vigorous physical activity, healthy nutrition, sleep, stress control, and binge drinking and tobacco use, as well as drug use. As I said, prevention plus wellness interventions are screening and brief interventions. They're a 3-step process. Screen young people or young adults or adolescents or children for their current health habits. That includes not just substance use like cannabis use, but also their health habits like physical activity and nutrition. Then secondly, provide feedback and positive image messages that link the prevention of substance use with the promotion of wellness, and showing these PowerPoint slides that illustrate that and highlight that. And then lastly, walking young people through a multiple behavior goal setting process and contracting. The prevention plus wellness messages address substance use risks. All of these, by the way, including the first one, that's why I've got it highlighted with an asterisk, marijuana or substance use. I'm going to give you some specific examples right now of how marijuana is a barrier to each of the targeted health behaviors. In other words, how marijuana interferes with physical activity, how it interferes and makes it more difficult to to get 8 or more hours of sleep, and how to be a well-rested person and so forth, as well as how marijuana or other substance use addresses these other topics as well. Harms your overall fitness and health, causes life problems, myths, social norm messages. Most youth do not use marijuana. Healthy alternatives, choose for yourself, plan ahead, and then there's a summary of risks to that particular substance, whether it be cannabis or others. Let's take a look at a sample message about how marijuana can be a barrier to the health behavior of physical activity in the last year. Here's one of our slides, or adaptation of one of our slides. An active life and marijuana do not mix. Marijuana use hurts brain development, lung function, success in school and sports, increases mental health problems. So you can see the linkage there, and identifying how cannabis use and physical activity over, and even sports over the last year do not mix well. Here's an example of marijuana being a barrier to getting 8 or more hours of sleep. Cannabis makes your mind foggy and groggy, harms your ability to think clearly. Its use is linked to more depression, anxiety, and mood disorders. Marijuana use can drain your energy needed for a high energy life that comes from getting plenty of sleep. You can see how we link the sleep, the promotion of sleep, positive images of sleep, and how cannabis interferes with sleep, and as well as the benefits and images of sleep. And there's a picture of a good-looking, appealing young person taking a snooze there. Here's marijuana causing life problems. Here's an example of it. By not using cannabis, you won't harm your brain, ability to learn, lungs, heart, grades, and physical fitness. You'll also avoid getting into trouble, becoming addicted, becoming depressed, anxious, or injured. So we're linking cannabis use, and particularly avoiding cannabis use, to these life problems. How about cannabis myths? The big myth is that marijuana is harmless. The truth is that cannabis use, especially regular, and heavy use, results in many negative and lasting effects on the brain, body, and your life. So there's substance use, particularly cannabis use, and myth. Let me just review for you. First of all, the behavior image model can be used to create messages that link marijuana use prevention with wellness promotion for programs and campaign. You've got all the content here to go ahead and begin that. If you need our help, don't feel free to reach out to me specifically, or to us at preventionpluswellness.com. You can find us on our website and shoot us a message, and be happy to help you any way we can with your message development. The behavior image model can also be used as a guide for creating multiple behavior goal plans and contracts, as we discussed today. In addition, lastly, there are one-session evidence-based programs that exist to prevent cannabis use and promote protective wellness behaviors. They include the Sport Prevention Plus Wellness Program for youth, In Shape Prevention Plus Wellness Program for young adults, as well as our evidence-informed marijuana prevention plus wellness program. Last slide I really want to show you is about the resources, cannabis and wellness resources on our website. For those of you that have attended today's webinar, we're providing a unique 15% discount if you wanted to request it. If you wanted to order our marijuana, sport, or In Shape Prevention Plus Wellness programs, that link will actually take you to the marijuana prevention plus wellness program. Secondly, our one-session evidence-based, we have a one-session evidence-based youth cannabis and alcohol use prevention programs article we posted just, I think, earlier this week on our website. Take a look at it. I think you'll find it very useful and interesting. You may want to read that, a very short article, and share that with others. Thirdly, we have free Prevention Plus Wellness program samples. Any of our programs, just request it. Just click on that link, and we'll be happy to send you a redacted electronic version. You can take a look at them. And then lastly, also on our website, we have healthy lifestyle guidelines for youth goal setting. It's very, very popular content focusing on how to promote wellness behaviors, particularly physical activity, nutrition, sleep, and stress control, as suggested by major federal and national organizations. Also, I highly recommend you go to preventionpluswellness.com, plug in your email so that you're kept up to date with all the other resources and things that we provide throughout the year. We send a weekly email blast. You'll get that, and that's all on our website, preventionpluswellness.com. You can reach us at 904-472-5022 and email us at info@preventionpluswellness.com. I'm going to stop at this point and see if anyone has any images. Actually, we made it pretty good. It's just a little bit, a few minutes past my goal. So not too bad. Let's see if anybody has any questions or comments. You could send those to me either in the Q&A section or the chat section of your online Zoom portal. So I'm looking and seeing and give you a couple minutes, make sure I'm not missing anything. Just to review, I will be sending everybody who has been good enough, kind enough to register for today's session. I will send you all a certificate of completion. But remember, this can sometimes be sent to your spam folder. So please check your spam folder. So by the end of today, I will send you the link to this recorded webinar, a certificate for half an hour of a CEU, probably a PDF of the slides. But remember, sometimes these things are, taken and are reverted to the, the spam file or folder. So do check there if you don't see it at the end of today. So, okay, I'm just checking to make sure there aren't any questions. Thank you very much. I'm glad you found it informative. I will actually send you a link to a very brief, I think, 2-question feedback survey that we'd love to hear from you. If you have other topics, so for example, we're thinking about providing a similar webinar in the near future on creating messages for vaping e-cigarettes, and maybe some other topics. But that's, alcohol, for example. So if you're interested in any of that, let me know. Shoot me an email, info@preventionpluswellness.com, or you'll be able to click on that evaluation, SurveyMonkey evaluation link and place any suggestions you have for future webinars. We're happy to provide a webinar to your organization. No charge. We just want to get the word out about helping people create these integrated messages and also introduce them to the existing evidence-based and evidence-informed programs and the training that we provide. These programs, because they're single session brief interventions, there's no reason why you cannot reach almost all youth. So while you may be providing other evidence-based or other prevention strategies and programs, this program, because of its brevity, can reach places where a 15-lesson program or other more intensive sessions can't reach. So if you want to reach all youth with a very critical prevention message, and also give them an opportunity to reflect on their own current health habits, to be motivated to change and actually start the change process by goal setting, take a look at Prevention Plus Wellness programs. Let me just check one more time. Looks like there might be a message. Hi, everything works fine. I don't see anything. So again, feel free to send me any questions after today's session. Thank you for joining. God bless you guys for all you do, for making a difference in your communities, in your states, even in your nations, for your youth, your young adults, your families, your communities. You are doing tremendous, tremendous work, and I appreciate it. And anything I can do to help, let me know. Looks like there's a couple of new messages here. Let me just scroll down and see what they are. Thank you always for sharing. My pleasure. No questions, just a lot of nice comments, nice thanking of this. And it's, again, it's my pleasure. Thanks. Have a great afternoon, rest of the morning for those of you on the West Coast. Keep up the good work, everybody. Bye-bye.